so the Karma ban stays. Does it force an IG Varus ban to keep the bans consistent so far? As Varus is definitely an opener that I could see BLG and Viper going for.
Really like to just pick something that grabs you a lane win, and IG with time ticking down do have to decide whether they want to deny that to the other big players on BLG. They will go with the Ambessa, which I really like, but it leaves Varus right open, and BLG saw exactly what you did, Cubby. Slam dunk on the winning Varus.
Nico, I think, needs to be considered now, as I've yet to see Mako play Nico this split, but it's a very good champion for On, one that drew bans in the last game. And I think synergizes very well with Varus, as it is a double poke lane, and Nico Varus, the setup for fights, something to look out for. As, yeah, looks like we're going to see Mako's first Nico. And other pairings for IG, I mean, they've got a few options now, Dia. They could try and prio pick a jungler if they want to. But a lot of those primo junglers are off the table. But I think sneaking in something like a Wukong here, double up on the circles, or take something like Aurora, which, again, and I guess another way to double up on the circles, and a big takeaway from Knight might be the champ for Renard.
Could work pretty well. Now that I've thought about it, actually, I'm really wondering if we see something like Vi Ahri even considered this late in. I mean, it may not be the dominant, they may not be the dominant picks that they have been in splits past, but Vi Ahri is never going to be truly bad.
Not wrong there. As... oh, boy. Yeah, there's the Vi. Dia, I think you're on top of this one. Vi, all right. We're doing pretty good with this draft so far. I call out Varus Nico. You sniped out the Vi Ahri. What played there, buddy? As...
high five.
yeah, we'll take that. I like what BLG is doing. That's a lot of ability to play through mid-jungle, which I think has been a consistent factor throughout the 3 games we've seen them draft. Now, Aurora does give you a way to get out of at least the Vi combo, but that can be used and abused by Knight's Ahri, as Knight's Ahri... man, we saw Knight's Syndra earlier in the series, Dia. Knight's Ahri is his signature champion, I think, as his record on this champion is superb. But Kai'Sa for Jwei, little over-the-top damage and a lot of synergy there with Nico. A lot of magic damage showing for IG, so I think if I'm BLG, I'm definitely not banning out any champions that are majority magic damage for the next phase. I think IG does want to double up on physical damage, try and level out the damage balance they have.
Now, I would not call Kai'Sa tipping your hand by any means. It's not that overt of a pick, but I'm looking at the composition of IG, and I imagine that we're going to get a few more champions, perhaps like a Wukong, that really want to get in there, that want to...
you ban Wukong here,
sit
actually.
in your face, because the composition of IG, especially when you draft Kai'Sa, that's what they're built to do.
I think you ban Wukong here. I'm with you, Dia. I think you're right on top of it. As Skarner is a champion that Jwei, I think, has a lot of expertise on. He's played it twice. And there is a lot of damage showing right now for IG, so I think banning out that maybe tankier jungler that might be able to soak a Vi Ahri combo is not a bad idea. That said, I'm expecting a Wukong ban still. You said that one, and it's not leaving my head. So...
we'll see whether they feel the same.
By the way, that Caitlyn ban may be saying that they're scared this could be a Bin Varus top. Or, yeah, they think this could be Bin Varus.
I mean, I like the read. You can tell that both teams are nervous with that read, especially. Like, when you're considering the fact that a Varus flex could actually just straight up ruin your game. You know?
I guess they don't want to get Lucian Milio'd. Yeah. I think Lucian ban's kind of weird. But I guess trying to protect Jwei and lane to the best of their abilities has Vayne's banned. Do they want Sion top? I think Sion and the Kai'Sa is a little hard.
Right?
Maybe.
I don't think IG would be upset with a Sion pick here either. I mean, you get a nice top laner. Sure, it makes the Varus flex a little scarier, but...
yeah. think physical damage is needed in the pool.
This?
We got some smiles going on for IG as there's a big fan of wanting the
Okay.
dogs out. The Fury with that W has the ability to go up in the air, go invulnerable. Really helps against the Viari combos, so going to be an option for Jwei, but I think the Fury really needs 2 items to be active in these fights.
When she gets them, it's going to be, of course, incredibly potent with the amount of jump on you that IG have. I will note that Mako, as we teased before, is their only form of true engage. A lot going to be on Mako's shoulders unless you can get a top laner that does that job for you. On the other side, BLG have options with Viper. They have options with Shun. They have options with Knight. Very soon, they may have options from On, as I like the idea of an Alistar pickup here.
Bouncy
Keep everybody
house.
off of your backline.
Just bouncy house it. Yeah, I find the Lucian ban really weird. I can kind of understand Kate being scared of the Varus, but I think it's time to put the fries in the bag, play the Scion. Yorick's off the table. That's one of the more popular Gnar matchups we've seen. No Jace available. It's another winning matchup against the Gnar. Let's play Scion. It's going to be poke Varus. So you're going to be pretty tanky later on and kind of fit the scaling composition for IG. But BLG, we talked about how BLG is at their best Dia when they have pushing lanes and have the ability to invade in the jungle. What do I see showing for BLG? A lot of early game, pushing lanes, and the ability to support Shun and hopefully invade the jungle. If this game goes late and IG gets to Kai'Sa with 3 items on even footing with the rest of the game, I favor IG's composition later on. But this is where BLG is at their best in the LPL internationally. It is playing the full court press style where they really choke you out of the game, use their hands to have these superb landing phases, and snowball it in your face across the map. So that's what BLG is drafted for in this one. We'll see if they're up to the task, because they're going to spike early at really the 1-2 item spikes. They're going to try and blitz IG in this game.
And unlike in Game 2, they have the tools to start fights whenever they want, especially when, of course, we look at this mid-jungle, but even as we look a little further down on the map, BLG have been so good at applying pressure in the early game, especially in game number 1. If they're able to do even half of what they did in game 1 here, they've got the tools to make it twice the problem. IG, on the other hand, like you said, outlasting would be winning, and given the fact that they have Kai'Sa on a player that has been incredibly problematic for BLG to deal with. Jwei has been untouchable in these games. Even on the Yunara has been playing at the top of his game. Now with Kai'Sa as well, an incredible scaling pick that can finish fights with fantastic potency. I could see an IG win con here. It is down to this game. IG versus BLG.
All right, Dia, I'm excited for this one. I'm going to try and stay awake here as it is late, and I realize that I am out of coffee. But for all you guys at home, thank you so much for tuning in. I do want to give a shout-out. We are currently at 95K followers on Twitch. We have the goal of trying to hit 100K by playoffs, so please, if you do not follow the LPL English already, hit that follow button. And Dia, I'm excited to dive into this Game 3, where let's see how much of a lead BLG can get in this early game, as they should have prio in pretty much every single lane that is showing for them. And with Shun at least looking like he's pathing bot to top, Dia. Curious that being matched by Nefiri, what that means, and really where Shun's going to try and pick his spots early on in this one.
Number 1 working out for On. Although heal burned unilaterally for now does give IG a small advantage. The reality of picking Alistar, who you really are going to want a little bit later. Fantastic frontline, fantastic engage, disengage, peel, and Varus will carry you through the later stages of this lane, don't worry.
Yeah, poke Varus is rather deadly, and it's always a pick that Vipers play well, so. See if Jwei honestly wants to base on this wave. They have a pretty good push going, and sometimes it's nice to get a little bit of a cheater in on the Kai'Sa as you try and find the early pull. But On, different idea. It's at least going to be a tower shot for Mako. Does burn the flash, keeps the heal. And that is a trade of Summoner Spells for On, and the trade up kind of at that, I'd say. As He doesn't have the Hex Flash. I thought he was going to have the Hex Flash, but looks like On's going for something different. Maybe the free boots. It's kind of weird, though.
Makes me wish that we... I mean, I know we brought up the forwards earlier, but I was not looking at whether he took boots or Hex Flash. Viper a little low on mana, though, and Buddy from IG looking to back for right now. Jwei also not really wanting to stick around for this wave. Viper will try and force it. Back going to be completed, and that'll be a wave crashed into the tower for BLG, a reset for them on a arguably better timing than IG is going to get.
Yeah, I'm just taking that trade to make sure this wave gets in, as Mako's not going to be able to hold it. And that will be Bernard Jwei, I should say, missing out on a little bit. So Shun getting the bot crab as he wraps his way back around. Jwei did secure the top crab, and Jwei's going to do his best to secure these respawn camps. So Shun, yeah, going to get up in the face of Jwei, but Jwei with the W that's going to empower the dogs and gets a very positive trade onto the Vi, and even gets Shun's flash.
Shun having burned the Vault Breaker to get over the wall just makes things a little bit more difficult. Jwei on an awkward spot will get over the wall, but it's Renard that takes the largest part of the damage for this, and IG not really getting anything favorable towards this bot side of the map, as Shun still has to clean up his jungle before doing really anything else. Bot lane, however, has left Jwei alone with Viper.
I think that is some pretty good damage that's put into Renard, because he did burn TP. So if he is sent back to base early, he does not have the ability to get back to mid quickly. And Knight with the refillable potions should have a pretty nice HP advantage in this mid lane if he wants or needs it. So I think that is a decent start. We'll see if Knight can do anything with just a little bit of chunk that he had. Looks like Renard got back to full off the passive and probably cut potions he was sitting on. As early on, kind of a little bit of nothing, which I am going to default to saying is advantage IG for this game. And I will also default to saying is that what I'm used to seeing on this Naafiri is Black Cleaver Shojin. But I am seeing Jwei rock the Serrated Dirt.
We're going to try and one-shot Viper this game. And if we are not one-shotting Viper, we are having problems.
Well, it's time for me to start to do some sciencing on the Naafiri builds, as I think this might be an Axiom Arc angle, as I'm seeing a little bit of that in the match history for Naafiri. It's mostly a default to... Oh, it could be Hubris as well. Hubris did get some buffs.
Hubris is weird. Hubris is good.
Yeah, Hubris did get some buffs. Of course, in competitive, Hubris, you get more AD the more kills you get and participate in. And if you participate in a kill or an assist, you get that chunk of AD for, I believe, a minute. So, it's going to be about trying to play this one a little bit quicker. To try and get the Hubris stacks, if that is the choice for Jwei. I think Axiom Arc is probably the other likely option, but both junglers converging on the bot crab spawn, where 6 is given to whoever secures it. And Knight is here to make sure that it goes to his jungler in Shun.
Even On started roaming off this as well. Viper and On have been really good about just taking consistently great trades for themselves in bot lane. Worth noting that Dragon is up as well. This one going to be Hextech Dragon, so actually quite good to be taking early on if you are able to. We've still got Grubs up in about 2 minutes, and I'd expect to see Drake going down a little closer to that.
Yeah, in terms of early Drakes, Vi has a lot of power in taking some of those early dragons. The fact that Vi is not on the dragon, it was a first base from IG. I'm almost curious if Jwei is able to sneak in now, because if not, I think that just default, if you wait a couple waves and kind of let Varus poke get put down, this dragon should be favored for BLG if they want to start the stacking, which I do think will matter this game. As... Yep. Those are the arrows hitting, and but no, dragon stacking matters this game. I really feel like BLG will run out of time at some point. Again, playing Vi, Ahri, Varus, you are always going to be able to take one member off the table, but the ability for Naafiri to get out of it, Aurora has a tool to get out of it with her own R, and then Neeko as well, just to play interrupt if she's not the target, and if she is, that's a lot invested into a support. I feel like IG are going to have more and more tools this game goes on to try and bounce back.
Just a matter of getting there, and BLG, especially now that we've hit level 6, you have to make use of their own tools in order to accelerate the game to a sufficient degree. Starting off on the Dragon, not a bad way to do that. As Renard does burn first ultimate and forces one out of Knight as well in the mid lane. All around the Dragon startup that Shun has kicked off. Realistically not going to be contested by IG.
Yeah. Again, I think that the drafts that we have, that Dragon is going over to BLG early. The fact that it went over at 8 minutes is honestly kind of a small win for IG. Trying to delay that Dragon stacking as much as possible. But good pickup by Shun. Well played by BLG. We'll see if he can shift that power over into the Grubs, which could be quite valuable for a team that has Gnar into Sion. And speaking of Gnar into Sion, Bin is off to a good start versus Breathe. Where I know, in Bin's words, when it comes to Gnar, you know, just don't miss CS and you'll be fine. It seems like Bin's doing just that, as he has a big advantage so far.
We've got to teleport back into the lane by Knight. Jwei once again trying to pick a fight around Shun. Goes wide on both daggers, but has Renard to back him up and really wants this Scuttle Crab. Flash again. Forced out of Shun, but he recommits and has ultimate. So BLG, with their first ults, will capitalize, picking up first blood for Knight. Ultimately escorting Renard back into this mid lane. Scuttle Crab's even still up.
That was pretty bad from Jwei. We missed both daggers. Overextended. I think the ult, that play was never really there. And that was pretty easy hunting for the cease and assist from Shun. As he takes out the opposing jungler, the jungler that he replaced for BLG at Worlds in 2024. Give them the best chance on their run. What was one of the better finals of all time in my memory. Watching Faker carries those games 4 and 5. Definitely a lot of hurt and pain for LPL fans that honestly made the first stand win feel that much better. It wasn't a Worlds, but it was an international victory for BLG and friends. As at least that kill topside. Yep. Shun able to clean up those 3 grubs for his team. Of course, Jwei was taken out, and that really is getting the party started for BLG, who again need to continue to play fast.
It's the first time this series that we have seen both of the early game objectives be picked up by the same team. Oh, flash forward from Viper, that's a double kill out of nowhere.
Well, Dia, this game's going from bad to worse with that. Well played by Viper. That first pick, Poke Varus, the pick that BLG was banning themselves at first pick for the series until this game 3. Viper comes up huge with that, and it was a pretty exciting game, too, off of a nice draft from IG. Again, I think BLG got the exact style that they want to play, want to execute. As we get a replay, Mako was already quite low. On flash to try and find the combo in the kill. Mako was able to get out of that, but Joshi being slowed up by the E was not able to get out of the chase from Viper. And Viper cycling out those procs of the Blight stacks. That's beautiful. Finds the double Q, sets up the kill with the auto attack. Well played, Viper. A lot of gold going over to him. And that poke, when you get an accelerated Varus going up against a Kai'Sa, again, we talked about Kai'Sa's 3 items, but the road to get there is going to be difficult. And marred even further by this poke Varus that's very far ahead now for BLG.
Yeah, 1.1k gold lead when your team's full gold lead is 1.6 is pretty notable. And this might be the first game that we really see Joshi set behind in a meaningful way. He's been such a rock for IG, but if you're able to attack the bot lane with just the picks of BLG, just the draft, enabling Viper to have such a dominant lane set up for himself. If you're able to set Joshi behind like this early, I guess we'll find out, right? There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but we're going to know this game exactly what happens when you do this. You know what, too, Dia? I mean, I think Joshi's been a standout performer for IG in the first 2 games. It was his pog in game 2. The Yunara was fantastic in game 1. I mean, the game, we were really talking about how Yunara versus Syndra, those are the 2 members that were fed. Yunara was the potentially saving grace.
think Jwei was able to sneak that one. It is the Hubris rush for Jwei. This is likely Hubris into a Black Cleaver here. But, yeah, this is the first game that Jwei's kind of been behind the 8-ball. Not that Viper's been playing bad. It's just been a really good series for Jwei. And now, really a chance to see Viper and see his impact felt. And this is, again, exactly what BLG wants. They drafted a lot of priority Dia. They have Shun able to get up in the face of the opponent and try and invade. Speaking of get up in the face, they rotated Jwei top, and that's a kill.
Jwei's first kill of
Big
the
shutdown.
game. Shutdown?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was a shutdown.
That's crazy.
It is a little I saw plus 680. I mean, I know there's a CS lead, but yeah. Dia, you were correct to question this. Your instincts have been very sound tonight. They have.
Hold up a second. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure that Jwei's pretty happy about it, right? You get yourself a shutdown, even questionably, and 2 CS off a cull as well, with maybe not first tower, but a tower being given over to you. And I would say you're caught up, but you're certainly not hurting.
Now, on the flip, it was a tower loss and a dragon loss for BLG, but you'll take the shutdown. And again, I think that if you leave that bot lane in isolation, we saw what the Varus was able to do, especially now being ahead. You're kind of just signing up to lose the war of attrition. So why not make a proactive swap? Why not use that Kai'Sa at -1? And your ability to try and really impact a lane. I really like that from IG. I think rotations, I've been talking a lot about this in NACL. I think a lot of teams have not been practicing or doing a lot of rotations because they're prioritizing quests wrapping up. That was a good rotation from IG. Got Jwei out of a bad scenario. Again, getting Kai'Sa to 3 items, I think, is the priority for IG. Trying to make sure that when Kai'Sa gets 3 items, they're still in the game. So a big shutdown for Jwei. That Cole completed. He's probably sitting on a lot of gold in the inventory and well on his way to working on that second item and trying to get Kai'Sa to that big break point of 3.
And I'm excited for what Jwei is able to do. Even as we noted he was set behind in this Viper matchup, a lot of it's going to come down to Mako as well. You were very quick to call out how much power Nico has in the draft and in these games. Got to make good on it. We haven't seen a whole lot of Nico from Mako. As you mentioned, it's his first game on the champion this split, and that game needs to be stellar.
Means this year, too. Sat out in split 1. We'll see what our, again, one of the GOATs of LPL can do. As when EDG won Worlds, I thought it was a big upset. I was kind of rooting for DK, but man, was I happy to see Mako win one. He truly deserves a World Championship with the career that he's had out of the LPL, and it's good to see him back on this IG squad. Starting for this split, been a big part of, I think, their success. Could be a big part of this potential Rift Herald fight. Yeah. I think it's going to be a banana brush setup for Mako. He's still showing. Jwei's getting a little bit low. Knight's TPing in. Knight's ult is on cooldown. That is significant for a potential Rift fight.
Is not, I should note, as it's going to be available. On gets Mako out of the fight, keeping the rest of BLG safe from any potential pop loss, but the Rift Herald has gone down. It's time for BLG to pull the trigger if they're going to on an engage. Shun's not quite in range for the cease and desist. And underneath the tower, it looks a lot like game 1, but I promise, IG, they look a whole lot safer from this angle.
They have a tower that's helping, as I think they might force it anyway, but they're forcing it on top. Knight does have access to ultimate now. Herald was dropped, which is surprising. I think IG overextending would be a mistake. I think holding this, even dropping the Herald for me, is a bit of a mistake. I think holding this formation, they need the reset. The health bars are not there. BLG is stronger at the item breakpoints right now. It was a waste of a Herald.
It hurts, but it is the minimum you lose there.
They're out of there. They're going to lose top probably as well, just because it's 3 grubs for BLG, and everyone from IG pretty much had to reset, so I think that was kind of an expensive Herald take. Not sure if that was worth it for IG, but that was the choice they made nonetheless, and BLG did their best to try and punish it.
And I would say punish it they did, to be honest. Like, even if you don't lose anybody, taking and then losing the Rift Herald immediately is essentially you using a lot of time to do
Yeah.
a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, 100% right.
BLG burning that time is going to come at a cost, whether we see it now or later. Mako going to feel a little bit of it right now as he gets back up from way over the wall, but BLG run this jungle for the moment, and that's going to be important in the next minute as Chemtech Drake coming up then.
Good shout to you. I still think that for IG, this is not a Drake you want to fight. If you can get Jwei any gold, I would trade out this Drake for Jwei gold and try and fight on a different item breakpoint. This is the point of the game where Viper is absurdly far ahead. Knight's going to be stronger. Bin's going to be stronger than the counterpart. Jwei's at 2 items, which is a positive here for IG, but just try and get Kai'Sa that Rage Blade, or get Kai'Sa more before you try and take the fight. I would like to see that too, because even thinking back to Game 1 Dia, kind of critical of how IG got stubborn once the game got away from them. Went for a couple plays where feels like they tried to overforce, whereas they could have maybe backed off and tried to get some more gold and fight to live another day. I feel like giving this dragon would almost be a little bit of a sign of improvement, even within the series, for IG just kind of understanding where they're at in this game.
As the mid lane tower falls, I mean, the dragon goes from, well, we'll probably get it, to we'll certainly get it for BLG. And IG really are going to have to contest the next one. One of the issues with giving up this dragon, even though I agree with you, Cubby, that it's the right move.
That's so point, yeah.
If then you have to fight. Then you're kind of mind controlled into.
You ain't wrong.
BLG want. What are we? We're giving up the dragon.
No, maybe, but the collapse is coming in. Knight just got second item.
We're baiting the dragon. This is the BLG play. Mako does find a double pop blossom. It's going to immediately get melted after that as Knight joins Shun in the back line, even as Shun goes down, with Jwei firing away at him. The rest of BLG do have to play together to avoid the damage from this 80 carry. Flash up the wall from both he and Breathe, with Knight following, looking for Jwei. Charm will not connect, but ultimately, Jwei will fall with the rest of IG. BLG, they might not get the dragon, but they set the trap.
I think Knight just threw up a TES emote as the ace came in, and Knight and Bin went to work in that fight. Knight's entrance to the fight was superb. Yes, Mako hit a big pop blossom, but that fight was the reason why we were concerned, because, again, the comp for IG, this is a 3-item comp plus, going up against a 1 to 2 item spike that BLG is showing in the draft. So I think that even being down 2k gold, yes, IG get the dragon, they buy themselves 5 minutes, but you are fighting into the spike of BLG, and man, did we see that spike get put to full use as Mako has to sidestep that piercing arrow just to live through the chains of corruption hitting. But yeah, now this is a 6k gold lead for BLG, only growing as Knight knocks down a turret. I think that's way too much gold to be down. This game is going to get out of control now in favor of BLG. And another game in a row where it feels like it's going to be dictated by Knight, who for me has been my player of the series. Again, this angle, this pincer coming in from Knight and Bin, so good. As I didn't even really see the top side of the fight. Viper was able to get a lot of damage down poking, and Bin goes undeterred as Breathe couldn't get into the pit to help Jwei until it was a little bit too late. Knight was already resetting. Bernard comes in to help, but he had no mana and nothing left in the tank. So it just ends up being Knight and the rest of BLG in a shooting gallery against an IG comp who were down 2k gold. Their champion spike later. They opted in to take the fight now, and while they deny the dragon, oh boy, was that an expensive deny at the hands of BLG and Knight.
A trap well laid by BLG, and with the gold in their favor as it is, Baron a very realistic bait as well. They've proven they can set a trap, that they can collapse on it, and they've got the chance to do it again. Mid lane, Viper is forced to flash on, ultimately tanking that up. Unbreakable Will is going to get popped, and Jwei almost joins it. Managing to back away on sub 100 HP. We have got a teleport coming in, and BLG want to route this fight once again.
Oh, no.
Bin's got hop available. Over the wall is going to go Shun, collapsing directly onto Renard and taking him out, with Knight looking for a little bit more. Knight 4-0-2. Thanos on this Ari.
He's got the book too. Ari loves AP, and that book's going to feel even better. I think Renard got stuck on the wall there with the ultimate, which is why we kind of saw the bounce back between the Between Worlds. But we got to bounce over to the Baron, as we'll see if IG can bounce back after that fight lost. They're down their mid laner who has no TP, no chance to get involved here. BLG does not have the most Baron damage, but their turn could be lethal as they find Breathe and Jwei. Oh, boy.
People say do or die.
God.
This is do and die. Mako's 4-man Pop Blossom is a celebration of death, not life. BLG, they pick up the kills. They can turn back onto the Baron.
Jwei getting caught in that bin combo was a little tough, as Bin's Gnar always superb. Really nice Mega Gnar mid-hop there. Caught Jwei off guard. He did live, but he was forced out. Baron returned to by BLG, and Baron looking to go down to BLG, as Jwei might go down to BLG Knight. Able to sneak on out, but the Purple Worm is going to go over, and the damage is done.
Part of me is always going to wonder, but I'm pretty sure that Knight could have killed him without landing a single skill shot there. I'm like 90% sure. We'll take a look back at this fight.
This was pretty optimistic.
Look at this.
As what a beautiful chain of corruption coming in from Viper. Speaking of Viper, picture-in-picture. Goodbye, Renard. Sit down. Go back to the gray screen. Viper's got you. It's the mid laner of IG fell again. Yeah, got stuck on the wall between worlds. That can be funky sometimes, so I think that ult placement just a wee bit unlucky there, and makes Renard look a little bit goofy. As bounce back though. Jwei got Viper.
Viper getting taken down is big. Jwei's still in this, but Ani's extremely tanky. And remember, Knight, Thanos, shall we say, is actually here to back it up. Pop Blossom goes down, but Shun immediately after tanking that Pop Blossom takes a bite right out of Jwei's face. The wallets are too big. The game is too far gone. BLG take another winning fight, even without their AD carry.
Well, I really feel like Jwei with the third item buy. I don't love this item. I think the Dusk and Dawn, like the EV you get on this, is so much greater than trying to get some more auto attacks off when you press R. As Renard might just get Trinity forced by Bin. And no signs of BLG slowing down. We've opened up an 11k gold lead, Dia. And all the attempts from IG just do not feel like they are there to come back.
I think, take a look back at how this happened.
Good read from On.
Kill that you'll remember. But remember, Viper ends up dead.
Good read from On.
Viper end up dead?
Really would like that from Between Worlds. Says, I bet you it's going to be a Jwei ultimate. Into... Oh, well, that helps. Well, yeah, Viper walking into a bush that On probably should have checked or tried to walk into. It's just a baby split there from the Alistar and Varus. That's all that these teams need to capitalize on. A good find from IG, but yeah, I think if Jwei spaces this better, or if he plays towards Breathe, I think Breathe kind of needed to block the buy Q, and then maybe Jwei can DPS, get another kill, but even in that scenario, I think just with gold deficit and where IG was at, no way to really win that fight once Bin enters. So... well played as Chain of Corruption used, and Breathe going low as they try and defend this turret. Renard?
Back to League of
Goodbye, Renard.
Picture. That is a big pop blossom out of Mako, but again, a helpless one. Breathe's got a good slam in the back line, but Bin's got a bigger slam in the front line! BLG blow up IG once again, and it is becoming routine in this game 3.
No, Dia, I really feel like this series was a bit of Renard's welcome to the LPL moment. You just got baptized by Knight this game, my friend. That's the Knight Ari. I feel like Knight really got the best of Renard in this series, and BLG, what was a good game 2 from IG. No narratives will change in this one, Dia. BLG remain on top as they find the win for IG and bounce back from their loss against Top Esports.
A small correction in the standing. BLG appear to have lost very little ground at home, even with a slight stuttering to their season at the very beginning here. I think this game should prove to a lot of fans at home who might have felt iffy after the top series, seeing how IG came into this and going, what's actually happening with BLG? That they are still contenders for the top of the league, and I'm looking forward to that AL series, Cubby.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really feel like when you go up against BLG, at times it's like running into the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. Bin, definitely Shaq. I think Knights Kobe, and oh boy, was that Ari clicking on all cylinders there for BLG. Nice bounce back for BLG. I still want to give IG a lot of kudos for that Game 2 draft and how they played it. I think that Jachi had a nice series as well. But that discussion around that third Dragon fight deal, there was a reason why I was cautious about whether or not they should take that fight. And BLG, their ability to play these full court press comps where it's really focused on the early game. As someone that does cover a dev league mostly, a lot of the times, those teams are not able to execute comps like this because if you make one or two mistakes, you can get outscaled for the rest of the game, put yourself in a really bad spot, and have trouble closing. That is not the case with BLG. They are always willing to play comps like this, play fast, play early, and play damn well enough where they always make sure they end up on top. So props to BLG on a very clean Game 3, Dia. Kind of leaving me more so impressed with them rather than sour taste in my mouth after that Game 2 that, again, was a nice draft and well played by IG.
And you can tell that in this series, there's a lot of history between Jwei and Shun because it kept coming back game after game as well. I know that ultimately we were looking a lot at the bot lane, at the mid lane when Viper was farming on Varus, and Knight, of course, became incredible on Ahri, but the jungle was a slugfest between the Vi Naafiri matchup, constantly going back and forth, these two junglers constantly testing each other and really becoming a stage on which their mid laners could perform. Was ultimately what set Knight so far ahead and was something that he was able to capitalize on. I'm looking forward to seeing how both of these junglers continue as IG, despite the two setbacks that they've experienced this week, I think are still having a season that people should look forward to and that people shouldn't have predicted them 10th. That was ridiculous. Why would you ever do that?
Well, Dia, at least BLG helping you a little bit out there. But hey, props to IG. I mean, again, I think that when we looked at IG's strength of schedule and the fact that they were 3-1, just returning to the matches that they played, it was a really big win over Top Esports in the very first series of LPL for Split 1. But beating NIP, Team WE, and then losing to Weibo after that, it kind of gives you an idea that IG are actually probably lower in the standings overall for Group Ascend, like probably a lower half team. I don't feel that much that way after the series against BLG. For me, if anything, I think that I built some confidence in IG being able to play with BLG again. I think that draft angle they had in Game 2 was really clever. BLG did not respect what IG were showing, and IG were able to punish and beat them for that map as they played well. So I think that is a positive. If anything, though, I am a little bit concerned about Renard coming out of this series. I think that BLG really drafted to have strong mid-jungle duos where they could play around and through mid, and they really got the best Renard in games 1 and 3, in which I think Renard was put in some pretty tough scenarios by BLG. So that is something I'm going to look out for. And Jwei, I think next time, Jwei, I'm going to ask for you to stick to the Wukong, as I fear he didn't really work out that well that game, Dia. And we ended up with a rather one-sided game in favor of BLG.
Think about how cool it would have been, though, if the Naafiri had gone well. I will say that the whole Renard point as well does remind me of what we talked about before these games even kicked off. The Renard rookie comparison, what rookie was able to bring to IG in Split 1 versus what Renard has been able to in Split 2. And you'll notice, if any of you tuned in at the start of the broadcast, and if not, reiterating it now, most of the stats were actually pretty similar. These two mid laners have looked basically the same statistically, but the biggest difference being that Renard is looking that way on a winning team, and Rookie was looking that way on a team that was not winning, or not nearly as much as the IG that we are seeing now. And so, as the season progresses, as IG's standings become perhaps a little bit more realistic or reflective of their true position in Group Ascend, those stats and those comparisons are going to be even more real and, as many would expect, I think a lot more punishing.
I swear you're not putting me to sleep, Dio. I've just casted 8 games today, and it's 4:45 in the morning.
Understand.
I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you, and I'm very much aligned with where you're at in terms of Renard. I think that he's still a promising young player. We're seeing play, but everyone's got to have their welcome to the big leagues moment. And Knight has ran this region since he started hoisting trophies for it. So Knight kind of ran the rift today, as he is fantastic as always, even tweeting out in the break. Tweet from Molecule was like, Knight scorelines are so stupid. Even his losing games, it looks like he has a winning scoreline. Which is exactly what happened in Game 2 for himself as well on the block. So Knight continues to be a world-class talent in both mid lane and overall as a player. I would take Knight against almost anyone in the world for a best of 5, and I know if Knight's involved in it, it's going to be a better series because of it. This guy is a hell of a player in the LPL, and well, when you have been in the same team doing stuff like that, that's why BLG has been a perennial contender since these two hopped into the squad. So, props to IG. I think still a lot of the changes they made, switching out 4 out of 5 members, diving in to this split. This does look like a team, Dio, that could be middle of the pack, could be feisty. I know I have them in 6th. I think that they're proving they're probably a middle of the pack team right now in Group Ascend, and definitely one that's going to make the group more interesting. They did give BLG a bit of a challenge today.
I definitely look at IG as a team that I would expect when we come playoffs to give us a few upsets that I would anticipate probably makes the plot more interesting and can even contest if they're having a particularly good tournament for a top 3-4 position. But it really is going to depend on what they make out of this split, what they make of the development, the time that they have with these young players. You mentioned Renard. We talked about Jwei a lot during this series. Both of them, of course, incredible promise in very different places, and this is the best place to do it, here in Group Ascend, where, as you have been a fan of mentioning, Cubby, you get the most practice with the best teams in the world.
Double round robin's big. So we'll see if Renard can continue to grow as the split continues. And honestly, a hell of a test for IG again tomorrow. I know I talked about BLG going up against AL. That is the 2nd series tomorrow. First series, IG just dropped to the team that is now tied for 1st after that win as BLG gets back up there in the standings. IG plays Top Esports to open up tomorrow. So good day of LPL games tomorrow as we have, I'd say, 4 of our top teams in action, probably 4 out of the 5 top teams in action. Of course, we still have a 2nd series tonight, but we will not be joining you guys for that one. I know there's going to be a winner's interview going on with what looks to be Shun, as I think that game was probably a Knight MVP or an on MVP, Dia. Not exactly sure who you'd give it to, but overall, BLG firing on all cylinders in that game 3 to make sure that their week doesn't start off with 2 series losses. They even up the scoreboard at 1-1, and we'll try to end the week positive after their best of 3 and against AL in the 2nd series tomorrow.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm feeling the same way. I like the sound of a Knight MVP, especially with what he gave to the team this time around. I will say Viper's got a decent argument given his lane phase, but compare that to what Knight did to the game, dude, and I don't think
the fights, man. Those fights, Knight Bin, that was Knight Bin playing their signature champs and playing damn well for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, incredible game out of BLG. Nice to see IG take the 2nd game, and we'll see if they're able to take more in the subsequent double round robin, but still a roster that is on the come up. They're not quite ready to topple BLG just yet. However, we're just about ready for the 2nd series as we've got JDG going up against Weibo, who served IG a defeat earlier this week. So look out for that series as Alk and Rafa will be back after the break to take care of you.